this afternoon we're starting with a journey called Discipleship Coordinates. Discipleship Coordinates. And the focus is for every person who is a disciple of Christ to go through this journey and to become a son of God. Now, many people have entered the church, and they entered the church because of need. They may have entered because of brokenness, because they need deliverance, they need healing. They may have entered because they have a dire need, they want to socialize, they want to find a partner, or for whatever reason. But for whatever reason you have entered into the church, which we also call the tabernacle, you have entered into this church because of the presence of the mighty God. Now, before time began, God desired a dwelling place. That was the whole point of creation. He desired a tabernacle, a place to dwell, a place to live on earth. And many people are hungry for his presence. I heard some stats recently that in the USA, the Gen Z is moving into the church. There's an overflux of young people coming into the churches, but particularly the Catholic Church. Now, we'll discuss that later on again. But there is this desire, this overwhelming desire to come into the presence of God. And many people desire to dwell in his tabernacle, and therefore there's an increasing desire to enter into the church, because in the church you will be safe, in the church you will get blessed, in the church you will receive all the grace and glory that's needed to live a successful life. And many believers just want to live the normal Christian life. But, I've come to the Root Awakening, and that was the reason for me to develop this course called Discipleship Coordinates, because there's nothing normal about being a Christian. In South Africa, according to the latest stats, over 80% of people, South Africans, are Christian. So that means the gates of the church are wide open. And do you know what? There's a variety of over 11,200 denominations worldwide to choose from. And as you know, the church can cater for every need that you have, whether it's education, whether it's finance, whether it's healing, whether it's a wedding or a funeral, or just for social belonging or emotional well-being, or for entertainment or spiritual upliftment. The church is a well-established organism with a variety of many missions to choose from. But you have come into this enormous establishment called the church, and you want to meet with this living God. Where exactly is this office of this executive God? Where is the office? Where does he make, where's his chambers, where he makes his dwelling in the midst of millions of churches and thousands of denominations worldwide? Well, I'm glad you asked the question, because this program, Discipleship Coordinates, will answer all of your questions about your journey, where it starts, where it finishes, as a believer and as the church. If you're a pastor and you want to build accurately, this journey will map out where you start and where the finishing line is. And also the current position of the global church, of the corporate church. So I will provide you with a map that is going to track your spiritual growth as you're working out your own salvation with fear and trembling. And just a warning, you're about to enter the greatest and the most important journey of your life.